Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? It's your boys of 33, and welcome to a tier list of Rise of the Elements champions. All of set 2 are here, including the items. I'm not going to touch the items. They're going to be done in another episode, shall we say. And so, what we're going to be doing is rating every champion that is in this set and see how good they are. So to start with, we're going with Aatrox. Now, Aatrox really hasn't changed much since literally set 1. The only thing that's really changed is his traits. One of them, instead of being demon, is now light, which is a kind of a flip if you think about it, of what he actually was. And as a whole, he's still very powerful, and I'm honestly considering early game power as well as mid game and late game as one thing, and his early game power is very strong. His late game power is okay. He's a 3-cost champion still. He's still got a lot of power. So he's going straight into A. Next, we're going to discuss Annie, and Annie's a sort of champion that we have to consider carefully. And we should be considering all summoners carefully like this. We need to consider what she is, because Annie on her own is just meh. She's just an auto-attacking flamethrowing champion. Tibbers, on the other hand, is your front-line threat. He is a dominant frontliner. He has a lot of health. When he's spawned, he does a lot of damage on hit, basically on spawn, and is an absolute pain to deal with. I was watching the Rise of the Elements Red Bull tournament, the first thing they did, and one of the rounds that I saw was a Nocturne versus a Tibbers. Tibbers won, and the Nocturne in Earth mode was just healing pretty much every 0.2 seconds, and Tibbers was just bopping him over and over and actually beat out the Nocturne. And considering Nocturne is very strong as a 3-cost assassin, and he's a Tibbers is basically a free 4-cost champion, if not 5. So as a whole, I rate her in S tier. Moving on, we have Ashe. Ashe has received an upgrade, being a Crystal Ranger. Crystal is actually very strong in the sense that you take reduced damage. It's like down to 100 at base level as a max damage. So yeah, that is very strong. She's still got, I do believe, the same ability as what it was in set 1, which was very strong as a whole, and she now has a bit more overall stats. And in set 1 in my tier list, spoiler alert, I put her in S tier. She's staying in S tier and going alongside Annie. Next, let's discuss Azir. Azir is one of them boys that is reliant on items more than anything. He has quite a high amount of mana, which is quite clever. He basically has a hurricane built into his kit, if you get what I mean by his sand soldiers. However, the one big issue about his ability, once one of the champions or whatever the champion is focusing on with the sand soldier is focusing on, if they move away, either because they've killed something or they die, your sand soldier is pretty much useless until you spawn another. And as such, Azir's power is catch-22. Yes, it's very strong. He pierces through 2 targets with his sand soldiers, and it's quite good. It's based on his attack speed and everything, and he has quite a high attack speed. But it's not always a reliable damage source, so I feel he's going to be after either A or B. And I've used him quite a lot, and he's a B, but he is usually your top damage dealer through the mid game. Next we have Brand. Now, Brand for me is a meh champion, to be honest. He's alright. Now that he is a mage, I believe, his abilities obviously cast twice. It does a lot more damage. You're doing base, I think, 400 damage every bounce. So if you cast that ability twice, that's going to be 800 damage onto probably the same target at once, which is quite high. But is he better than Azir? No. It takes far too long to generate enough mana to cast that ult. And I'm used to playing with Katarina, who is reliant on that ultimate to basically win around for you. His ultimate is what basically wins around for you, but when you get it, it's kind of hit or miss whether it's going to be good because he's probably almost dead when he gets it. Next we have Braum, and he's a Glacial Warden now. He's dropped the Guardian for something similar, but I think is a bit stronger. However, and this is a huge however, he's very rarely picked up for Resistance's teams anymore because there's a lot more better champions that are built for Resistance, and so he's very rarely picked up. So yes, he's good to me, and he's very good against the likes of the Ashes, the Brands, the Varuses, even Quiana and stuff with his ult. But he's just not seeing as much play because of the fact there's so many other better champions than him for what he does. Next, let's discuss Diana. Diana's Infernal Assassin who generates a shield when she ults. And as a whole, that is okay. She's still a one-cost champion. And for what it's worth, when she does get that shield off, it's an alright thing. But notice the important word there was when. Very rarely you'll see a Diana ult go off in the late game. And she very rarely does ult during mid game as well. Meaning she's pretty squishy and usually dies quite quick. So I honestly feel she's joining Braum in the lower tiers. She might even be worth a D. I think she may have to slide into D, considering how badly that ult is used, and it's very rarely used. Next we have probably one of my favoured champions, whom I'm honestly going to probably talk about a bit later on with another champion that's in this tier list, and his ability is very strong. It's generally a huge amount of healing, and considering the fact that he's also bulky as well and jumps on targets as an sort of an assassin effect, he deserves to honestly be in the B because he's a sturdy frontliner who's just seen more than Braum. Next we have a Glacial Ranger, I believe. So takes up the Ash role in this game and it's Ezreal. Ezreal as a whole, very reliable damage source. He's probably guaranteed at least 1 Q. And yeah, he's very good. He's probably good enough to stay in A tier, as he'll basically just fulfill your damage needs as and when needed. Next we have Ivan, and Ivan's sort of in the same tier, well, boat as Diana. You only really go him if you want to build up Druids and Woodlands, just so you create an extra champion. But here's the thing. His ultimate grants a shield that only hits one target, and yeah, it gets a bigger as he levels up, but there's better champions that create shields in this game mode, and this one just isn't too good, so I think he's going to sit in D. Janna is an alright champion. Nothing special to me, if I'm honest. Yeah, it's a heal, but very rarely have I seen that heal win out a round. Usually, she gets bursted out instantly, or her heal isn't enough and she dies as she's healing. That's usually what I've seen happen when she ults, so I honestly feel she's a C. Yeah, she has a strong heal that heals everyone in range, but it's just not good enough in certain aspects to what it needs to be. Jax now. Berserker and Light. A very good setup of traits. Very nice ability. He is the replacement Shen of this mode. And Shen was a very reliable champion in TFT, so I honestly feel for a strong 2-cost champion going in the B category, you're not better than an Azir and a Brand overall, but you are better than the things below you. Next we have Kha'Zix. Now, Kha'Zix received a rework, and in set 1 I rated him quite lowly. Set 2, if they work out some of the bugs with him in how he's using his ultimate, then yeah, he's gonna be like S tier or A tier. I'm honestly thinking he's B. He's basically an execute champion. He'll just execute everything. He's taken Evelyn's role in Assassins, and he'll just execute anything that's low health. He's got an alright amount of damage, don't get me wrong, he'll obviously do it. He's squishy though, but that's made up by the fact that he has invisibility and movement ability, and the fact that he's able to just pop targets, freeing up other damage dealers on your board to go after other things. So yeah, he's got a good setup, but is he in? Actually, I think A would be better for him because that kit he has got is very strong, even if it's a bit buggy. Next we have Kindred, and Kindred is one of those champions that I actually really enjoy. If you're going Infernals, Kindred ults so often gives you a lot of damage burst, and then placing these flamed up tiles underneath champions, just stopping the heals of like the Mundo and Janna. It's actually very useful. Plus, if you give him her a hurricane, it's actually stupidly powerful. It's a good setup, and I'm thinking my next TFT video that I upload will be with Infernals. Okie dokie, we have Kog'Maw now, and Kog'Maw for me is an champion. You would think as a hyper late game carry in normal League of Legends, this glass cannon-esque champion would have a high amount of damage. Well, he's a 1-cost champion that I do believe has got the lowest attack damage in any TFT game, set 1 and 2. His base is 45, and honestly, you only really pick him up if you're going for poison early and or predator, and predator is very strong. It's just that the fact that getting a Kog'Maw to a high level where he's doing a lot of damage and doing it very quickly is very hard to do, and there's far better poison champions in the form of Twitch that can replace him easily. He's going in my D category. Next we have LeBlanc. Now LeBlanc is a very unique assassin in the fact that she's also mage, So double casting her ethereal chains is actually very nice. That stun early game, because of how quick it is and the amount of burst damage it does, honestly is I'd say a better version of how Morg was, in the sense that Morg's second half of her ability took so long to actually kick through. It was very rare you saw it in any TFT game. As such, I'm kind of looking towards putting her as a reliable damage in B, but I'm thinking she's also an A tier. And the reason I say A tier is because if we look at what else is in A tier, Aatrox, high amount of damage that's reliable for a guaranteed ult mostly. Same with Ezreal, same with Kha'Zix, he'll ult a lot. And so having maybe an Ocean Hex, sticking her on it, she ults pretty much instantaneously, providing a stun on one of your backline, well, their backline threats, which is great as it keeps your frontline or damage dealers in a good amount of health, basically. Next we have Lux, and there's no reason not to say she's an S tier. The fact that she is 7 cost and does appear quite often in your shop, it's very easy to get like an extra trait out of her. Like, how many do you need for a crystal? Oh yeah, you need 2 champions to get base crystal. How many do you need for shadow? Oh, 2. There you go. She gives you extra traits for basically free. And if you have already got 2 of them things, having her just means that you're guaranteed a win in that category. She's super duper strong, and considering she's 7 cost, and with the fact that everyone now goes eco, she's very good. And the ultimate amount of burst damage that ultimate does warrants her an S. She should in theory be S plus plus plus. She's that good. Malphite is a weird one. See, I know him as this reliable frontliner, as I know Space Rainbow, whenever she plays TFT, when she's not busy, she runs him in a mage team to get mountain buff, and the fact that she can stick a tier and a spatula on him to make him a mage, double use of his unstoppable force, stunning a lot of targets pretty quickly in comparison to how Cho'Gath ult works. And it's a very reliable sort of stun. The only issue I have with it is its minimalistic damage, unless you build up damage on him. But I honestly feel he's warranting an A rank because of how strong he is throughout the entirety of the game. If you pick him up early and get him leveled up quick, he's gonna do a lot of work for you and really is strong. Oh boy, we have one of my favorites here, Malzahar. One of these summoners shadows, so obviously has that shadow link in to another summoner that we'll talk about later on. And Malzahar is very good. If you have Ocean, that's an instantaneous Voidlings. The reason it's very strong, he can cast multiple of them throughout the game. Like in a round, he could cast maybe 5 or 6. Very, very good and strong. Honestly, he's warranting of an A rank, but I'm actually going to stick him in S. The fact that he's very strong early game, he has a very high amount of power, he's able to just absolutely destroy everyone early game and mid game, and very rarely get touched. It's a wonderful champion to be running, and honestly should be maybe a 3 cost champion, who knows. Okay, next is Maokai. And Maokai's a counter to Malzahar, honestly. The reason I say that is Voidlings count as a spell, and this kind of knowing that kind of allowed me to theorycraft around summoners a bit more and honestly experiment with them in terms of what you can do with their actual summons. And Maokai, yeah, he's a very strong early game champion in terms of the heal and the kit, but you have to warrant him late game. Late game, he's a pussycat who's just there to look hard and be a tree. You can't put too much past him. I honestly feel he's warranting a C. He's just there to be there. And yeah, could be a lot better. And Master Yi. I honestly don't rate him too highly. Yes, he's a Blade Master with a high amount of damage, but I don't like his ultimate. It kind of stops his actual aggressiveness that you want in this sort of champion. As a Blade Master, the fact that he stops, stands still, meditates to heal up. Yeah, he gets all his health back basically, and is a bit more useful, but in that downtime, people could literally burst out your entire team and leave just him, and he's pretty easy to deal with then. But another big issue with that, with his ult, is the fact that you just need to hit him with a red buff or more Monomicon, or even Infernal, and his heals just stopped completely. It kind of makes him weak in that sense. But considering I'm putting reliable damage dealers in B, he sort of fits into this category with Azir basically in terms of reliability. And now we discuss a champion that I actually quite enjoy using. It's Nami, an Ocean Mystic. I've run her with Mage's Cap before. Do not do that. Yeah, it's a double wave, but they're literally on top of each other. It's no unusable. But she is a very good ultimate. It covers pretty much the entire screen, her ult. And it honestly disrupts a fight enough for you to actually pick up a win. But you have to realize she is mainly sat in the backline doing literally zero damage. That ult doesn't do much damage. So you have to honestly consider, okay, I need to build around her as my core. She's there to just support you. So as a whole, I do feel that the amount of burst and she does is similar to how Malphite is, and as such, I feel they fit quite nicely together in A rank. And now we're discussing that champion that I said we would discuss earlier. Nasus is basically a cheaper and slightly better Mundo in terms of the amount of heal he gets. Plus, if you run light, he's just dominant in comparison to Mundo. I feel they can sit in the same tier together, and honestly, in a battle, I think Nasus would win. Oh boy, next we have probably my favourite frontliner in the game mode, who's so reliable, has a very nice stun ult that hits basically anyone's backliner, and honestly is very good. It's actually going to be Nautilus. Now Nautilus is very tanky and bulky and very good at what he does. I usually run him in my summoner team as a frontliner, and in the one game that I have a screenshot of where I mass created Zeds, he was probably the only other champion alive on the board other than a Zed to do anything. So that kind of tells you how strong he is, the fact that he survived that carnage. So I'm honestly sticking him in A. Next we have Nico. And I don't know what I was gonna stick Nico here in C. But I don't know if she creeps into B yet. Because the fact that her ultimate, it's okay in terms of damage. Like, that is a huge amount of damage her burst ultimate is. But it just takes a while to build up in terms of the fact that it starts really small, gets bigger and bigger, but she will eventually kill you, and it doesn't take long for her to charge that ultimate. So I honestly think she slides up into B, but because of how powerful that is. Oh boy, Nocturne. I said earlier he lost out to Annie, and it's kind of expected considering he's a 3-cost champion. He had no Rage Blade on him. If he had Rage Blade, he would probably won. But Nocturne is a very strong champion. He's similar to Mundo in a sense that he heals on AoE damage, but you have to realize he does more damage than Mundo. And with that, he'll burst out a Mundo, he'll burst out a Nasus overall, and honestly be a very annoying bad boy. Moving on to Olaf now, and Olaf is one of them champions that has a high amount of attack speed without even building a Rage Blade. Now, Olaf can get going, he'll probably be very low health, but you can obviously put healing items on him, like Lifesteal, Bloodthirsters, Gunblades, even Warmogs would do the job. But you have to realize he doesn't usually get that much damage out because he can actually just get killed quite quick. So consistency with him is quite low. Well, no, it's actually quite high, I mean. But he is warranting an A rank, considering how powerful he is late game if you get him up enough levels. Next we have Ornn. He's going in D. Ornn has Electric and Warden as his typing. Electric is far too weak for me in my opinion. It's a very weak Sunfire cape. It doesn't do enough to warrant picking it up, and it can really only be useful if you're coming up against AoE. A lot of champions may be summoners, but that's about it. Has only one real use. His ultimate is very weak in terms of damage. He literally just flame blasts in front of him. It doesn't do much, and usually he's very squishy and not worth picking up. That's why he's going down there. Next we have a champion that I feel is warranting an S. It's Qiyana. Qiyana is a very unique champion in the sense that she's similar to Lux. She can have 3 different typings, I believe Woodland, Mountain, and Ocean. Her ultimate is a very nice stun. It does a lot of damage, and I mean a lot of damage considering she is an assassin as well. And she's very good at what she does. She's a better version of LeBlanc, I honestly feel, in terms of the fact that she has a stun. She doesn't even need to hit, in the sense that LeBlanc needs to hit 2 ults to stun 2 people. Qiyana can fire 1 stun, I think up to 3. It's possibly only 2, but it's a very nice ultimate that does a lot of damage. Next we have... I don't know what that is. I don't even know if that's a champion. But we'll discuss Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is similar to, and I'm honestly sticking him in 2. He's a better version. Actually, no, I'm sticking him in 3. In B. He's a better version of Cogmore by a landslide, in the sense that he has a very strong true damage ultimate that can basically proc Predator instantaneously from full health. He can actually just annihilate targets if you build him correctly. Her. I always call him. I'm sorry, but she can do a lot with so little, and I'm actually wanting to use them a lot more often, even if they are quite weak. Next, let's discuss Renekton. Renekton is a one-cost champion that, as the game goes on, just becomes weaker and weaker. You look at Nasus just gets stronger and stronger as the late game goes on. Renekton just gets weaker and weaker, and they do similar things. Yeah, Renekton's got a very powerful AoE heal, but it only activates once. It's one big burst heal. That isn't good in comparison to a Mundo heal or a Nasus heal. He's staying below them, and I honestly am contemplating D for him. In fact, he is going D. That's how good he is. Next we have Singed, and Singed is a weird champion. He has a nice dot ultimate that's active all the time. He basically doesn't need to be building attack damage, so you basically take one item set off him. You can have him be very tanky, stop people from gaining mana, and honestly be a pain in the neck for everyone. However, when he's... The one issue that I have with him is his targeting with that ultimate. He's meant to walk in targeting on all of the enemies that are alive. Now, the issue with that is his pathing does tend to get broken because of how he works, and so if they sharpen up his turns, make him a little bit more precise, then he would definitely be an S. Okay, we have Sion now. Sion honestly is a meh champion. I very rarely get him in my shops, and when I do, he's not very memorable when he's on the field for me. And as a whole, I'm contemplating C or D for him. Overall, his ultimate is okay, but he's very rarely strong enough to survive, and you would think he would be. So I honestly think he's a D. And I don't... If I paid attention a bit more to him, maybe he'd be higher up, but no. Next we have Sivir, and Sivir is similar to Ezreal in the sense that she's reliable damage. She's also Blade Master, so that attack speed buff that they technically get is very good. She's honestly either going in A or S, and I'm honestly sticking her in A. She's very strong and good. Skarner, I stuck Rek'Sai up here as a Predator because he has a nice, strong ultimate and burst damage. Skarner, on the other hand, creates a shield. Yet again, they're staying below the B margin because it's not good enough. Skarner dies probably before he gets to ult in the late game if you ever use him, so I honestly feel they're not got any use at all. And I just realised that's red buff. So you're going down there. Soraka now. A fairly okay champion, and she has an AoE Hush built into her kit. So yeah, that is quite good. She's a 3-cost champion, so she's quite easy to pick up as well. Having an AoE Hush is very good. It stops ultimates. It stops progress on charging ultimates. It allows your team to freely kill a target that's only able to auto attack. If you combine her with a Jax, then yeah, she's very strong. So considering the fact that Jax is in B, she makes it into B. Next we have a champion that I'm very fond of and is making it into A. It's a better version of Nico, honestly. She has a high burst damage ultimate that can be cast twice due to her mage trait. She's very strong. She just needs a bit more health. Ocean buff as well is honestly very good for her because she can cast that ult a lot more frequently than what a Nico maybe could cast hers. And I honestly do like her. Considering how strong she'll be late game, it's very good for her. Talia, again, I don't tend to use her. She's a strong mage, don't get me wrong. Casting a ability that moves enemy champions is alright. However, it resets the champion's aggro, and it does have to force your frontliners to move towards them. It basically makes Talia free hitting onto your team. Not Talia, the target that you moved free hitting onto your team because they're basically in a position that is moved from where they were. So as a such, sitting in C. It's a nice amount of damage for an ult, but it's just not too good. Taric now, and Taric is the improved Kale. And everyone knows what I think about Kale. Kale was an S tier by far. Taric's going up in S as well. Just build a load of resistance on him. Crystal as well, reducing the amount of damage that he can take. That is golden. And you then also have, I believe, Warden on him, so has built-in armor. He's very tanky. He's very strong. He has a ultimate that just stops damage. Yeah, what more could you ask for in a champion of the 5 cost? He's staying up there. Thresh now, and Thresh, I said, was a better version of Ivan. And I wouldn't be wrong. Has an AoE shield, which is better than Ivan's. He's ranged. He's got Warden as a stat, so he has built-in armor, and he's ranged. So yeah, he's going to be a very nice damage dealer. Honestly, he sits in B. Though, as he's just not good enough to make it into A, I feel. You usually run him alongside Nautilus, and Nautilus is just far better in terms of strength, and yeah, you just stick him in B. Twitch now, and I said earlier that there's a better version of the Poison champion in that's also ranged, and it is Twitch. Twitch, spray and pray, very good. Build attack speed on him, he's phenomenal, and I really do like him. He's sitting in A for me. He's sort of the similar effect Ezreal has on me, and is very good for it. Next we have a big jump from T to V, and it's Varus. Varus honestly hasn't received any changes, other than the fact he's now Infernal. Infernals, as I know, are very broke against a lot of champions in this mode, and considering I believe whenever his ultimate hits a target, like it pierces through him, it creates an Infernal Hex below him, so he could hit a lot of targets and produce a lot of Infernal Hexes, and considering I do believe, let me just check, Him and one other champion we're yet to talk about is probably the best for Infernal Hexes on the board. He's definitely going in B. He's just so good. Vayne, used to think would be higher with Noble buff. Now that she's light and ranger, you very rarely see her picked up now. She's okay, she's not as good as what she used to be, and I honestly feel it's warranting D now. Vigar now, and Vigar I love. He's going straight in S. He's a better brand, and he's cheaper. And the amount of burst damage he can do, considering he's a mage, oh boy, he's staying up there. There's no way you could probably take him out of S. Next we have probably one of the stronger early game champions in Vladimir. Being a mage, he's probably going to be your frontline mage in that sort of team, alongside maybe a Nautilus if you're going for the ocean side with Syndra. The amount of healing he can do is phenomenal. Yes, you can counter him with a red buff, a Moronomicon, or even I forget what the other item is, but he's very strong in terms of the heal, and early game not many people are going to have a red buff on that. He's going to carry you quite far, so I think he is warranting A. Considering he's a one-cost champion, he's going to do a lot of work for you. Volibear, I honestly feel, is a weaker version of Rek'Sai. Yes, they're the same cost, but she has such more of a burst with her ultimate. Electric isn't too good anymore, or has ever been good, and yeah, yes, he does have Glacial, but Glacials don't do much anymore. They're very rarely picked up, and they don't have that threat they used to with an Ash. So he's going straight down in D. Next we have Warwick, and he's probably the second best Predator in the set, behind Rek'Sai. So I think he can stay in C alongside Skarner, because at least Warwick's ultimate procs Predator and also heals him. That's the only good part. And yeah, I don't like him at all. He's staying in C. Yasuo now, and he's still a Blade Master at heart. You can tell he's still got that Blade Master charm. He's just got a very weak ultimate now. He's gotten the strength he used to have just killed with that ultimate. It's cancelable. It can be cancelled by any stun, and just doesn't do that much damage. So I honestly feel he's warranting a D now, considering how good he used to be. Yorick is probably one of my favourite champions. It's broken. He has such a good combination with Zed. He's definitely going up there. The fact that you can create basically free GAs for everyone on your team. And I say free GAs, I mean you basically creating a very high amount of damage ghoul that has a lot of health. If you've got Summoner buff, you are just super duper lucky and he's not going to be killed that easily. Give him mountain, like hexes on the board, you stick him on one of them, yeah, you're good and gold. That's a win for you. Zed, I love. Broken as all hell. You've seen the screenshot. He just fills the board. You're done. You win. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And Finalamont, the last champion of the set, and conveniently, all three of the last champions are summoners. Will this summoner make it into S? No. Will they make it into A? I put Varus here. No. B. Yes. Zyra is a very strong champion. She is the other champion, I think, Infernals that can put so many more Infernal hexes on the board than anything else in that setup. She's very strong late game, in a sense that the more plants she has out, the longer the match will go. She'll stall out a round for you to pick up a win. And yet, them plants do a lot of damage. So yeah, she's sitting in B. Considering her costs as well, she's worrying of that position. But that is going to be the end of this tier list for you guys. I did this on the fly. I really didn't plan much of this. There was only a few champions that I knew for sure where I was going to put them. If you agree with this list, be sure to leave a like down below. If you don't agree, subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.